Hey everyone, this is Ragnarok Boy. Today we're going to make a top 10 Game Boy Advance games list. And man, this is going to be a very special journey to me because it was a very special system for me growing up, the Game Boy Advance. It was my introduction to JRPGs actually, to many wonderful series such as Fire Emblem, such as Metroid as well, such as Castlevania. Man, this system is just so important for so many gamers throughout, I'm sure, and this is going to be a very fun video to make. And well, I hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, let's begin. So for number 10, I chose Warioware Inc. And man, this game is just so important, so special to me because when you are a boring adult like me and you don't have much spare time, just 20 to 30 minutes break times most of the time, and you don't really have that much availability, you don't have that much spare time to enjoy a fully fledged video game, so to speak. You only have very reduced moments of liberty. So for these situations, the best thing to do is to grab WarioWare Inc. and to start enjoying these wonderful micro games. They don't last for very long, only 5 to 10 seconds, but they are so engaging, they are so addictive because they force you to react very quickly. So that's the fun of it. It's something that everyone should experience. It is kind of difficult to describe, but I think once a person experiences them for the first time, they are going to understand exactly what I'm talking about, and it's such a jewel. It hasn't aged a bit for me. It doesn't get boring, never gets boring, even though it's been released now for 16 years, I believe. It was released 16 years ago. It still hasn't aged a bit for me. It's still super charming and super fun. Up to number 9, I chose The Legend of Zelda Diminished, and this is such a beautiful game. I love the visuals, the background art, the sprites, everything is so aesthetic, it's so beautiful. I love every frame of this game. It's just the visuals, I love them so much. And the gameplay is also very solid. Unfortunately, the game is a bit short. Well, of course, because the Game Boy Advance is actually a very limited handheld system. But still, it's such a beautiful game. You know, the Legend of Zelda games, they never disappoint. But unfortunately, if we start comparing this game to the rest of the Zelda games, it doesn't hold much water. Unfortunately, it is a bit limited. Even if we compare it to Link's Awakening, I think it was a bit limited, but still, it's a beautiful experience. I really recommend playing this game if you're a Zelda fan, because it's so beautiful, and it's kind of silly sometimes because you have these very epic but at the same time very silly boss battles that enemies or bosses in this case, they seem like Shadow of the Colossus kind of bosses. It seemed like so gigantic because actually Link is shrunk to a pixel size, and average enemies, they look enormous. So it's sometimes kind of silly, but it's also very epic. And again, The Legend of Zelda, it never disappoints. Up to number 8, I chose Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and sorry for that lame introduction. I just love the music with a passion. It's so catchy, it's so upbeat. I never get tired of it. And who would have thought a Mario and Luigi game would be such an epic RPG series? And it's actually very engaging. It's actually a perfect introduction for beginners to JRPGs. And even though it doesn't have much of an epic story because it's a Mario game, it's most of the time very clumsy, very silly. And it's still such a marvelous experience. Even for experienced JRPG gamers, this game is such a bliss. It's got brilliant comic relief, it's got brilliant dialogues, and actually the final dungeon and the final boss, they are very challenging. They actually give you a bit of a challenge. And even though the rest of the game is not as challenging, of course, actually the difficulty, it remains very low, to be honest. The end game is just perfect. It's absolutely brilliant. Everyone should experience that end game. And Also, this game is so beautiful. I love the sprites, I love the background art as well, the visuals, everything is just so well made. I really enjoyed this game from beginning to end. So, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, that was number 8. Up to number 7, we have Castlevania Circle of the Moon, and man, I love this game with a passion. And maybe I'm nostalgia biased by this choice, because also Area of Sorrow and Harmony of Dissonance, those are also magnificent games. But actually, Circle of the Moon was my introduction to the Castlevania series, and it was just so meaningful and special for me. Even though it was so dark, because you know, the original Game Boy Advance didn't have any backlight, and Castlevania Circle of the Moon is a dark game as well, so it was a nice training experience for me, but it was so worth it. It's so great. I love this game really with a passion as well. And it's just so fun, and also very, very underrated. Not many people talk about this game for some reason, but I think it is a very solid game. I try to be objective here. I really think it's a very solid game. Boss battles are very epic. I always remember that fight versus a Dramalek, because it was very challenging for me the first time, and I just managed to beat it, and my HP was very low. I was about to be killed, and actually I was killed a little bit afterwards because I didn't heal. It was just so epic. I really enjoyed playing Circle of the Moon very much. It doesn't get the attention it deserves, and I really recommend it to any Metroidvania fan. It's really a great game. Up to number 6, we have Pokémon Emerald, and I truly believe this is the definite hoeing experience. It's so perfect in my opinion. There is nothing to improve in this game. Many people discuss if it is actually the best Pokemon game ever released, and it is difficult to agree because there is also Pokemon Platinum, to be honest, but this game is the absolute hoeing experience. It is much better than the remakes that were released for the 3DS, much better than Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in my opinion. Maybe I'm nostalgia biased, to be honest, but that is my opinion. I truly think this is such a charming game and so nostalgic. Just listening to Little Root Town, the music that Sunday plays, God, it's just so marvelous, it's so magic. And even though this was not my first Pokemon experience, because I had played Pokemon Yellow and Crystal before, yeah, I'm that old, I still hold Pokemon Emerald at a very special place in my heart because it was just so well built. I loved it very much. It's a great improvement over Pokemon Crystal, over the second generation, and it is just so much fun. I really love the challenge at the Battle Frontier, and just I played this game for like 200 hours to complete it 100%, and man, that was the best decision I could have made growing up. Yeah, who needs friends growing up? Just play Pokemon Emerald. That was my philosophy back then. And yeah, it may have not been the healthiest decision, but I do not regret it. Up to number 5, I chose Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and oh my god, this is such a perfect game. This is such an important and meaningful game. I love it very much, and not so much because of the gameplay, even though it is an improvement over the original Tactics game for the PS1, but just because of the story. The story is so meaningful. It's so important for me because it talks about escapism, you know, as a way to escape from reality and try to make reality a bit more bearable somehow. And this was very important for me because growing up I had a very violent family, so of course I could not avoid escapism every single day of my life growing up. So this game is very important for me, very meaningful, and I'll never forget it. The story is just so important, and it has not been addressed on any other games that I'm aware of, so I really recommend it. Even though the gameplay is fantastic, because it is, I believe the highlight is definitely the story. I think everyone should give it a try. Up to number 4, I chose the fantastic Metroid Fusion. It is such a great game. It is so well designed, and it was actually my introduction to the Metroid series. And even though many people might tell you, okay, Metroid Fusion is good, but it's a bit too linear, it's true. I actually agree. It's kind of linear, well, very linear. But I think this game did everything right, and I think it is a perfect introduction for gamers to the Metroid series. I cannot think of a better introduction to the Metroid series. It's just so accessible, and it's so fun actually, and it's fast paced, and it's very entertaining and engaging. And to be honest, that was very exciting to be chased, to be hunted down by the SAX. That was so epic. That was so marvelous. I think that experience has not been duplicated in the Metroid series, or many games actually. But that feeling of being hunted down, that was perfect. I so brilliantly executed. And some of the boss battles are just so memorable. It's really a fun game to complete 100% as well. And for speedrunners, it's actually very fun as well. I think it's an introduction to many speedrunners as well. And I love it. What can I say? I love Metroid Fusion. Up to number 3, I chose Fire Emblem the Blazing Sword, just known as Fire Emblem here in America. And I meant America, not just United States, but the continent. Well, I'm from Venezuela, and that was our introduction as well. And I have to say, it was such a marvelous introduction to the series. It is very well designed for that purpose, to introduce us to this wonderful series that back in the day it was very overlooked, very underappreciated, but now has become kind of a mainstream series thanks to mostly Fire Emblem Awakening and Three Houses. But still, all of the games in this series should be appreciated equally. They have their differences, yes, but they are in essence pretty much the same game. And they're especially ever since Fire Emblem 6, they have followed pretty much the same formula. But they are so enjoyable. The cast of characters, the support conversations, it's so satisfying. I really love building my strategy and trying to overcome the most dire of situations, the most difficult of obstacles. It's just so satisfying. Especially when you get to the end game, is so memorable because all the time you spent racing your units, you'll feel like it was so worth it, and it's such a rewarding experience. So that is why Fire Emblem games are so special for all of us fans, and I really again have to recommend Blazing Sword because it's a wonderful introduction to the series. Let's continue with number 2, and I chose the Golden Sun duology. And maybe I'm cheating a little here, to be honest, but also it's just one game split into 2, so I thought I could take this liberty here of choosing both because they are both magnificent. They were my introduction to JRPGs, so probably I'm a little nostalgia biased, but I try to be very objective here, and I have to say that this is a wonderful game. And it just did everything right. The gameplay is magnificent. The GN system is fantastic. It is very well designed. I love how using different gens give you buffs, but they also affect your stats. That was brilliant. That was just absolutely brilliant. But you could also use these gens to summon and unleash powerful moves. Everything was so balanced, so well constructed. I just really enjoyed this game very much, and the story is also very engaging. It is maybe not the most original story there is, but it is very well designed. It is very well constructed, and I think everyone can enjoy it. And also the music is so legendary by Motoi Sakuraba. The music is also wonderful. It, I just love the soundtrack very much as well. It's such a grand experience, and I really loved finishing the first Golden Sun game, and then I could transfer my save data to the second game. That was also so magnificent. That was so great. And oh my god, I had such a great time playing this game. So I absolutely recommend playing Golden Sun. And finally, at the number one spot, I had to choose none other than Mother 3. Then, oh my god, what an absolute masterpiece. And this game is such a powerful and emotional roller coaster. Like, so many things happen in this game that it's sometimes difficult, you know, to appreciate every detail that this game has. I'm really impressed at the capacity of the writer of delivering such a powerful message on basically how to cope with the loss of our mother, and deliver in such a accessible way. And because it is also whimsical at times, sometimes it is a bit silly, and it has very good comic relief to make up for the very tragic moments that happen throughout the story. And everything was just so well designed. I'm so impressed with this game, and I'm also kind of upset that it never got an official release here in America. We only were able to play this game because it was fan translated, and I really have to appreciate the team behind fan translating this game, because they did such a marvelous job. It was a very professional work that they did, and man, I'm really mad at Nintendo. Why? I will never understand. I guess we got Lucas on Super Smash, but that was not enough. We wanted Mother 3, we still do, so please, Nintendo, listen to our prayers. And oh my god, get a release on the Nintendo Switch or anything, because more people need to experience the absolute bliss that is Mother 3. And that's it. That was our top 10 Game Boy Advance games. And who would have thought that such a small handheld system would be able to deliver so many wonderful experiences? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video maybe made you want to try out one of these wonderful games. And well, I just really hope you had a good time, just as much as I did doing this video. And thank you so much for listening to me, and see you next time.